Hi friends, in this video we can discuss about ankle joint, the main injury related to ankle joint and also one pathology related to ankle joint. Here you can see the normal X-ray of ankle joint, normal AP view and lateral view of ankle joint X-ray. Here you can see the normal space in between tibia and talus, and we can see tibia is overlapped with fibula in normal AP view X-ray. To check whether there is diastasis, we are using another view called angle mortis view. In angle mortis view, 15 to 20 degree medial rotation of leg is placed before taking X-ray. Here this is the normal lateral view. Here you can see the normal space in between tibia and talus. This is a normal X-ray of ankle joint AP view and lateral view. Here you can see a tomato-shaped swelling. This is a particular patient with a history of inversion injury. Came to OPD after inversion injury. Here you can see there is tomato-shaped swelling and a typical point of pain just beneath the lateral malleolus. When we examine the patient felt pain on forceful inversion. The injury is also inversion injury, history of an inversion injury. Springing test is negative. What is springing test? Springing test means squeezing of proximal end of tibia and fibula, which is negative, which will be positive in fracture. Here this is due to lateral collateral ligament sprain. Lateral collateral ligament comprises of three compartments: anterior, middle and posterior compartment. Anterior one is anterior talofibular ligament, middle one is calcaneofibular ligament, and posterior one is posterior talofibular ligament. And the anterior talofibular ligament, the anterior compartment of lateral collateral ligament, is the most commonest area of injury in inversion injury. Here we can see the bandage we are doing in lateral collateral ligament sprain. Here the most commonest tender point is in anterior talofibular ligament. Here I am explaining the three compartments of lateral collateral ligament. This is the most point of tenderness in anterior compartment of lateral collateral ligament sprain. This is anterior talofibular ligament. In the bandaging, just keep in mind the foot should be in dorsiflexed position and the second toe should be towards tibial tuberosity at the time of bandage. Second toe should be towards tibial tuberosity and the foot should be dorsiflexed before doing the bandage. This particular bandage is called as divergent spica. Here we are bandaging in a position in 90-degree flexed ankle joint and heel is kept open. This is the application of muff. You can also use a gauze before the bandage of cotton to avoid allergy. After applying, here we are applying muff. Then compressed cotton or top band is applied. You can see compressed cotton or top band is applied above it. And the heel is open. Here the heel is kept open. This particular bandage is divergent spica. And then apply gauze above the cotton. Here we are applying gauze above the cotton and at last tying here. Here the heel is kept open. Heel is kept open. This can be done in grade 1 lateral collateral ligament sprain. If it is grade 2, then we can do a half cast bandage. I will show the video later. If it is grade 3, whenever we are doing forceful innervation, then there is open up of that particular joint, then it's grade 3, then that particular patient should be referred to an orthopedic surgeon for the surgical reconstruction. Whenever there is complete tear, that is grade 3 tear, whenever there is open up of that particular joint on forceful inversion, then that patient should be referred. This is the bandage divergent spica. After bandaging, the patient should start rehabilitation. And to safely return to your sport, these three things should be kept in mind. These three things before starting the sports activities. First one is walk and run without pain or altered pattern. Then second one is complete 21 leg heel raise. one leg. The complete weight bearing should be on one leg, the affected leg, and then 20 heel raise should be done and balance on one foot easily for 30 seconds. These three things should be checked before starting the sports activities. Immediately after the removal of bandage, start rehabilitation for a period of 1 to 3 weeks. And after the rehabilitation, check these three things and then start sports activities. Another case reported to OP with Shoidur Bahulyam. Shoidur Bahulyam means excessive swelling. Second one is grating sensation, that is Avapityam ane Shabdam. Shoidur Bahulyam and Avapityam ane Shabdam. In this particular case, springing test is positive. Springing test means squeezing of upper end of tibia and fibula or proximal tibia and fibula. Then the patient felt pain over the distal end. That means there is fracture over the distal end. The nature of pain is intermittent pain, particularly in fracture. It is Pott's fracture. Pott's fracture means bimalleolar fracture of angle. Pott's fracture is bimalleolar fracture of angle. Here you can see there is fracture of distal end of fibula. Fracture of distal end of fibula, which is called as Pott's fracture. Here you can see a half cast bandage. In half cast bandage, we can use Murivanna also. Here, first measure from the metatarsophalangeal joint up to knee, just below knee. This is a below knee cast. Just measure from the metatarsophalangeal joint up to the distal end of knee. It's a below knee cast. This is 15 centimeter POP. This is 15 centimeter POP. Then take total 8 layers. Then take 8 layers with that measurement. With that measurement, take 8 layers. Then once more, ensure the length taken is same. Please check that. Then an additional stirrup of 4 layers should be taken from here to here. This is 10 centimeter POP. Here taking POP 10 centimeter. An additional stirrup. For giving an additional stirrup, 15 centimeter, we took total 8 layers. This 10 centimeter additional stirrup, only 4 layers are needed. Measure that distance and take 4 layers. Then apply a stockinette. Then apply a stockinette. The stockinette should be proximally and distally take some more, and it should be fixed at the end of the bandage. Here we are applying the stockinette. This is of 15 centimeter width. If in hand we can take 10 centimeter width, small one. This is large one of 15 centimeter width. Here also the foot should be in dorsiflexed position and second toe should be to tibial tuberosity. Here after applying stockinette, we are pouring Murivanna on the fracture site, distal end of fibula fracture. Here we are applying Murivanna. The application of Murivanna is to reduce the Pitta Rakta Koba due to the fracture. In the beginning stage, in the first stage of hematoma formation, this hematoma, due to as bone is highly vascularized, whenever there is fracture, there will be hematoma formation, and it is the reason of Shoidur Bahulyam. And this hematoma causes soft tissue edema, soft tissue injury. To reduce that particular Pitta Rakta Koba, we are using this Murivanna. We are using this particular Murivanna, and here you can see there is excessive swelling on the fracture site, excessive swelling on the fracture site. Then after applying this stockinette and then pouring Murivanna, then apply top band of 15 centimeter, compressed cotton of 15 centimeter. Here you can see we are applying compressed cotton just above the stockinette. Before applying top band, it is better to pour Murivanna. Here you can see after applying stockinette, we are applying this compressed cotton. Compressed cotton over the fracture site and proximal end and distal end, and on bony points it should be 3 layered. In all other points only 2 layer is needed regarding this compressed cotton. Then we are taking the 15 centimeter POP which we measured. It is of 8 layers from the metatarsophalangeal joint up to the knee joint, just distal to the knee joint. 3 to 5 seconds it is immersed inside the water. Then the excessive water is squeezed out. After putting the POP for a period of 3 to 5 seconds, the excessive water is squeezed out, then this POP cast is placed, the 15 centimeter on the posterior aspect. Here we can see it is applied on the posterior aspect. The additional stirrup of 10 centimeter we are applying on the medial and lateral aspect. Here you can see this is the additional stirrup. This additional stirrup we are applying on the medial and lateral aspect. On the medial and lateral aspect. This is additional stirrup. Is applying on the medial and lateral aspect. Here you can see. Then it will give ample support. The 15 centimeter is 8 layered. 10 centimeter is 4 layered. Then we are applying gauze of 15 centimeter. It is immersed inside the water and squeezed. And then we are applying above the 15 centimeter 8 layered cast and 10 centimeter 4 layered cast. Here you can see 15 centimeter gauze immersed inside the water and then squeezed out is applied over this particular part. Here you can see the additional stockinette which is distal is placed like this, and then we are again covering it with gauze. In the proximal end also we are doing the same thing. In the proximal end also we are doing the same thing. Here you can see in the proximal end also we are doing the same. Here this is the complete bandage, half cast bandage. We can mark this particular point and ask the patient to pour Muruvanna over the fracture site. Here we can mark this particular point and ask the patient to pour Muruvanna over this particular point. Here there is posterior support, medial and lateral support, and the front area is fully covered with cotton and gauze, so that the patient is able to use the Muruvanna in the initial period up to callus formation, and ample support is also given due to this particular half cast bandage. Actually this is an improvised bandage. If you are using a splint, then actually 5 splints are needed. One on the lateral aspect from here to here, one on the anterior aspect from here up to the joint, and medial aspect splint same as like of lateral aspect, and posterior aspect splint up to here, and one additional 5th splint is at the foot. This bandage is very effective when compared to the 5 splinted bandage, and also we can use the Muruvanna in the initial period. Actually this is another fracture. This is also Pott's fracture. Here you can see the medial malleolus avulsion fracture is there due to the pull of deltoid ligament or medial collateral ligament of angle along with fibula fracture. This particular case requires surgical reconstruction. Why? Because there is avulsion fracture of the medial malleolus. This particular case should be referred to an orthopedic surgeon for the surgical reconstruction. But if there is no displacement, we can give bandage, support, and conservative management helps in the healing of that particular fracture. If there is no avulsion, if there is avulsion of medial malleolus, then it requires surgical reconstruction. This is another particular case, age 53, and the patient stands a lot. Patient presents with numbness and paresthesia of the foot. The patient had a history of diabetes mellitus and hypothyroidism, and the diagnosis is tarsal tunnel syndrome. Tarsal tunnel syndrome is an entrapment neuropathy, just like carpal tunnel syndrome. Here the posterior tibial nerve is entrapped in this particular tarsal tunnel. In this tarsal tunnel there is posterior tibial artery also. Due to this compression, the patient felt numbness to the toe, first and second toe respectively, and there may be a chance of history of diabetes mellitus and hyperthyroidism. And for the diagnosis, either we can use Tinel sign. Tinel sign is tapping just beneath the medial malleolus gives the diagnosis. The patient felt all the symptoms on tapping just beneath the medial malleolus. Here is the area of entrapment. And also another particular clinical examination test, forceful dorsiflexion and eversion. I repeat, forceful dorsiflexion and eversion of the foot for a period of 1 minute also gives diagnosis with the clinical examination. The patient felt symptoms like burning sensation, paresthesia, numbness to the affected area. Forceful dorsiflexion and eversion. In this particular condition, First, rule out whether there is history of diabetes mellitus and hypothyroidism and manage the primary disease. If there is absence of these conditions, then concentrate to reduce the stenosis and entrapment. Actually, Dusparsha, the drug Dusparsha is very effective in relieving the stenosis of entrapment disorders. And also we can use diuretic like Punarnavadi Kashayam, such diuretics, Chandraprabha Gulika, that can also be used, and ask the patient to do rehabilitation after the complete relief of symptoms. Ask the patient to do rehabilitation, just like angle pump, heel raise. Such rehabilitation should be advised. Also, in the last phase, give internal Sneha Prayoga to avoid the recurrence. There is one rule called Ottawa angle rule to take X-ray in injury. If there is tenderness over medial malleolus and lateral malleolus, navicular bone and the base of fifth metatarsal, 4 points, medial malleolus, lateral malleolus, base of fifth metatarsal, and there is and navicular, whether there is tenderness. Second thing is the patient is not able to walk a distance of 4 steps immediately after the injury and in the emergency department. In both these conditions, X-ray should be advised. If these two things are absent, then we can avoid X-ray in that particular patient. This is the Ottawa angle rule. The extremities of age should be excluded. The Ottawa angle rule are beneficial to take X-ray in the middle-aged people. Extremities of age of children and of aged people should be excluded in Ottawa angle rule. These are the rehabilitation effective in the ankle joint injuries after the removal of bandage, and in pathologies also. This is calf stretch. Here the right knee is flexed and the left calf is giving stretching. Hold it for a period of 5 seconds. This exercise is very effective. Why? Because this gastrocnemius and also soleus should be strengthened for strengthening the ankle joint. So this exercise is very effective in ankle joint injury and pathologies. Here a cylindrical ball or a glass is kept beneath the plantar aspect of the foot and then rolling should be done. This is clench. This is very effective exercise. This one is single heel raise. I already explained that before starting sports activities after the ankle injury and rehabilitation, then single heel raise should be checked. Up to 20, if it is possible, then the patient can start sports activities. This is single heel raise. This is toe raise of both legs. This is heel raise of both legs. These exercises are also very effective. Forward bends, rotations, forward and backward bends. This is clench, which we already discussed. Side to side movement, toes back bends, and forward bend with hold, backward bend with hold, forward and backward bend against resistance, then toe raise and heel raise along with calf stretch. In the initial phase, active use and exercise is advised. In the second phase, active use and exercise against resistance shall be advised. And in the third phase, ask the patient to start weight bearing. The patient's on weight bearing and start heel raise, toe raise and calf stretch. This is regarding ankle lateral collateral ligament sprain. Lateral collateral ligament sprain is more common when compared to medial collateral ligaments. When if it's grade 1, only 1 to 2 weeks simple immobilization, divergent spica immobilization is needed. Or we can use one orthosis ankle support with binder. Ankle support along with binder should be advised if it is grade 1. If it is grade 2, then 3 weeks immobilization is needed with half cast support or with splindage. Then rehabilitation should be advised. If it's grade 3, then that patient should be referred to surgical reconstruction. There is a chance of eversion injury which causes medial collateral ligament tear, but it is very rare when compared to lateral collateral ligament sprain. And then second one we discussed about post fracture, bimalleolar fracture of ankle, in which if there is avulsion fracture of medial malleolus, then it requires surgical reconstruction. Otherwise, it is possible to do conservative management with a half cast bandage for a period of 45 days is needed in fibula fracture. In tibia fracture, total 2 to 3 months immobilization is needed. Whenever there is absence of tenderness, Then the bandage should be removed and ask the patient to start rehabilitation. The rehabilitation should be in the initial phase, active use and exercise. Second phase, active use and exercise against resistance. And in the third phase, active use and exercise with weight bearing. And we also discussed a pathological condition called tarsal tunnel syndrome, which is very common nowadays. In tarsal tunnel syndrome, the patient presents with pain and paresthesia, pada harsham or pada daham, and there is a chance of history of diabetes mellitus and hypothyroidism in such patients. The diagnosis should be done with Tinel sign, which is tapping just beneath the medial malleolus, that is the site of entrapment disorder, and also for forceful dorsiflexion and eversion for a period of 1 minute also gives the clue to diagnosis of tarsal tunnel syndrome. You should definitely do the clinical examination, and I already explained that diuretic is very effective in that particular condition to the relief of entrapment, to relieve the stenosis. Dusparsha has an added benefit. We can use a particular kashaya like Punarnavadi or Chandraprabha, and you can add Dusparsha, which is very effective to relieve the entrapment disorder. By seeing this video, hope you understood the most commonest conditions of ankle joint injury and pathology. Hope you will be able to manage this particular condition with proper bandage and rehabilitation. Thank you.